So I've, as I mentioned in the email, want to record the call, so I've got that going. So today is August 2nd with Kieran Rao for the book. So by my math, 25 years takes you back to about 1993 at Airbus?
December 1992.
92. So, and I remember from previous conversations that you were with Leahy over in USA for a while. What was one of the first campaigns that you were, or what did you do for John in those very early days when you joined Airbus?
Okay, so I was actually a trainee at the Airline Analyst Group, and based in Toulouse, and the campaign started for Air Canada to replace the DC-9s. And as a trainee, I was assigned to work on that campaign, and John Leahy was the sort of, Anthony Lawler was the main sales guy, but the campaign was run by John Leahy in the States. And I put together a nice little study and everything else that showed that the 319 was a better replacement than the 717, or it was MD-95 in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Because Air Canada already had the 320s, and if you, although, either re-engineering the DC-9s or replacing it with MD-95s, then Boeing was obviously pitching the 73, and my little story was the 319 working in connection with the 320s was a much better answer. And anyway, I was literally in Airbus just not even a year at that point, put the study together and went out and did the rehearsal with John. I wasn't supposed to present it. It was supposed to be somebody else was supposed to present it. And John said, no, you're presenting it to the Air Canada board tomorrow.
And how old were you then?
Oh, just 30, I think, yeah.
So was that a intimidating, daunting assignment?
Yeah, well, especially with, Leahy was a tough nut in those days. He turned out to be a pussycat as years went by. But if compared to what he was, everything is relative. So, he was a tough old character in the U.S., and he'd shout and scream at everybody and whatever. And I just gave my pitch, and he liked it. He said, you're presenting at the board tomorrow. I said, okay.
So I mentioned the prospect of re-engineering the DC-9. I don't ever remember saying anything about that.
You don't remember anything about what, sorry?
Re-engineering the DC-9?
Yeah, there was a re-engined DC-9, there was an MD-95, and there was 319 and whichever 737-500 or something was probably from Boeing. That was the campaign.
What engine would have gone under the DC-9?
Well, I guess the DC-9 became an MD-95, so...
Oh, okay.
In 17, so there was probably an interim step with just change the engine and don't change anything else.
Okay, yeah, got it, okay. So, of course, Airbus did win that order, which made sense since it was already a 320 operator. Were you at all involved in the United sales campaign in which...
Right. So I was sent out to see United to sell the A321. I was supposed to give a presentation to a bunch of guys at United for the 321, and I went there on my own, actually. This was after the Air Canada campaign. Went there on my own, came back, and I called John up, and I said, John, they don't want 321s. These guys want 319s, and the whole campaign was 321. And, now I'm out of training. I'm working for John, and I'm telling him, that you guys have all sent me here to pitch the 321. I said, that's not what they're interested in. They want the 319. And we switched the campaign to the 319, and we won.
And that was the 319 and the 320?
They already had the 320s, because that was done before with John and Rakesh Gangwal.
Okay.
This was the 94.
Speaking of Rakesh, I can't get Jack Pope to call me back, and I'm wondering if you could give me contact information for Rakesh, because since he was there, ought to be able to tell me what I need to know about the United side of that campaign.
Well, I'm not on his Christmas card list at the moment, so I wouldn't try going through me.
Oh.
Because you must have seen the big fight between the Rakesh and Rahul at Indigo. And I've been brought into Indigo to do what Rakesh used to do, so he's not too pleased about that.
Okay, so you're on the opposing team, so to speak. Well, but do you have Rakesh's contact information?
I don't try to be on anyone's team.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's how it's seen internally, so I can't do anything about it.
Okay, but you couldn't share Rakesh's contact information with me?
I don't think I have it anymore, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
I gave back my Airbus, because as soon as I was at Airbus at the time when Rahul invited me to join, and I saw what Rakesh had written about it, so I never took the need to call him back after that.
Interesting.
There we are.
Yeah, okay. So over the course of your 25 years, obviously you did AirAsia, you did some other key campaigns. What would you say that were some of the key campaigns you can talk about, given these other issues that are going on?
So I worked with John in the United States on United, Northwest, Air Canada, and then John got promoted to go to Toulouse to be the head of sales in Toulouse. And when John got promoted to being the head of sales in Toulouse, he was there a few months, and they took an A340 out to India, and they did a demo tour around India, and basically nobody showed up. So I was in the United Field Service office at the time. I remember it very clearly in San Francisco, and I got a call. And they say, John Leahy wants to speak to you. So I spoke to him. He said, Kieran, I want you to move to India. I want to make you president of Airbus India. I said, John, I'm not going anywhere. And I'm in the U.S. now, and we bought a house, we bought 2 cars, we bought television sets that only work in America, we've done everything. I can't move to India. And he said, no, you're moving to India. And we argued about it for about 6 months, and then I ended up moving to India.
Well, did the famous deal maker John make you an offer you couldn't refuse?
That plus put his arm around me and squeezed hard and said, that this is good for your career, and you listen to me when I tell you what to do.
So you go to India where Airbus had, what kind of presence did they have at that time, and what year was this?
1996, and at that point, India, the 320 crashed in 1989 with Indian Airlines, and that was the only customer. And since then, India had been dominated with Boeing since the crash, and Airbus had not sold an airplane in India for close to 10 years at that point.
So how did you make a breakthrough, and with which airline did you make the breakthrough?
Well, we went out in 1996 to India and didn't sell anything until 2002, when we started with Air Deccan, which was the first low-cost airline in India. And then we got Kingfisher, then we got Go Air, then we got Indigo, then we got Indian Airlines, and whoever else we got, AirAsia India, and they all came through, and we ended up with 80% market share. So it took me 10 years, but we went from 0 to 80% market share in India. But the sort of key campaign that kind of made my name in Airbus was South African Airways.
Really?
Because we had just lost the 320 had gone had been replaced with the 737. Then John sent me down to South African, and there was a big campaign we'd already lost the year before that, where they were going to buy the 777-200. And I ran the campaign, and we ended up winning 340-300, 340-600, 319, and 321. We did a huge deal in South Africa.
So what were some of the tipping points in that campaign?
Well, the most interesting part was the demo flight. So we were asked to bring an A340-600 down. Boeing was asked to bring a 777, which they did from Delta. John screamed at me for doing a demo flight because theirs was a brand new 777.